Tyson Fury versus Dereck Chisora has kind of gone quiet of recent times simply because of the fact that Billy Joe Saunders and Chris Eubank Jr. have their own issues to deal with on the undercard of the Bad Blood bill, which is going to happen at the Excel Arena in London. And obviously, the other thing is Tyson Fury beat Dereck Chisora in the first fight. So most people, it's a foregone conclusion that Fury would win the fight again easily. Plus, if you listen to Tyson Fury long enough, you didn't know different, you would believe that Tyson would win the fight again. And in some interviews, he said that he'd beat Dereck Chisora one hand behind his back. Of recent times, he's kind of said that Dereck Chisora is a good fighter and will be a tough challenge for him, but nonetheless, he would win. So you're probably thinking, okay, Ingram, you know both fighters, you've interviewed both fighters, and you like both fighters, so who do you think is going to win? Before I give you my answer on that, I want to bring a few things back. I think I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Dereck Chisora, for anybody who's watched Dereck Chisora, his best, the best of Dereck Chisora comes out when he fights guys who are much taller than himself. I'm talking 6'4", 6'5" upwards. The giants of the heavyweight division. You look at Chisora's best win, it was against Robert Helenius. Helenius arguably could punch harder than Fury with both hands. And Helenius, good fighter. Not saying Helenius is better than Fury. I'm just saying Helenius is a good fighter. He was then the European champion. And at that point in Dereck Chisora's career, if you look at where Helenius was the man that everyone said would beat the Klitschko's. Helenius has disappeared, but and I think he's constantly injured. But yeah, and Chisora went over there when a lot of people expected Chisora to get knocked out. I was one of the few that believed that Chisora would beat Helenius. He did. He went out there and beat Helenius. I was also one of the very few people who believed that Chisora would have a real chance against Vitaly Klitschko, and he put on a better fight than a lot of people expected Chisora to do. Chisora's best style, or most effective style, is when he's fighting a guy that's taller, that enables him to roll, get inside, not get hit too much on the chin, and get hit on the top of the head. David Price made that assessment very quickly when he was talking about Dereck Chisora in terms of strengths and weaknesses. David Haye was able to get the knockout against Dereck Chisora because of two things. First of all, his hand speed, and second of all, Dereck Chisora getting hit by a much faster guy and constantly getting hit on the chin. The leverage is different because Chisora and Haye are of similar height as opposed to, and David Haye hasn't got to go far to reach for Chisora's chin, as opposed to someone like Fury or Price or Helenius or Klitschko. They have to punch down as opposed to, and Chisora's punching up. So, and if you look carefully and if you really study, the last time I believe Dereck Chisora fought a big guy that tall was Vitaly Klitschko, if I'm right. He hasn't fought a tall guy since Vitaly Klitschko. So if you're going to look at Dereck Chisora, don't look at his fight against Max Scott, really, because Max Scott was, 6'4". Don't look at his fight against Scott. Don't look at his fight against Kevin Johnson. Don't look at his fight against Parler. And don't look at his fight against Gerber, because none of those guys are of the dimension of a Tyson Fury, who is more like a Klitschko in terms of his dimensions. So an in-shape Dereck Chisora, who will be in better shape than he was against Vitaly Klitschko, and probably better shape than he was against Helenius, and a much more experienced fighter. I think he fought those guys when he was like 16 and 17 fights. So Dereck Chisora is a real threat, and I think people need to understand and look at this fight a lot more closely. And there's every possibility they could be upsetting the cards. Let's look at Tyson Fury. Strengths and weaknesses. Tyson Fury, strengths. Well, he's mentally very strong. That's one thing. And he'll need to be mentally very strong because he's had a rough time. Cancelled training camps back to back in sense, and the last guy he fought was Joey Abel, whom Pulev got rid of quite easily. Although people say it was a knockdown, it wasn't a knockdown. His foot tripped over Abel's foot, and the Southpaw Orthodox thing. So it wasn't a genuine knockdown at all. He fell over, more like, and Pulev dispatched Abel in quite easy fashion. Back to my point. So Joey Abel does not prepare to fight Dereck Chisora, and the last fight before that, the fight before that was the Cunningham fight, which was no walk in the park. When I asked Tyson, Tyson said that he said that Cunningham is a far better fighter than Dereck Chisora. Well, this remains to be proven because we don't know what Dereck Chisora is going to do on the night against Tyson Fury, and if he were to beat Tyson Fury, then he would do something that Steve Cunningham couldn't do. And based on the knockdown, which was a heavy knockdown by a cruiserweight, there is still signs for concern. And if you look at Tyson Fury's fights, the fights he has been caught and knocked down, he has been clowning around before he's been dropped. I think it was the Pajek fight where he was clowning around and got caught with a big punch. Against Cunningham, he was calling Cunningham in, and Cunningham caught him with a big shot, but that punch came from the back of the arena. Now, if Cunningham can catch Fury from the back, and he threw the punch from the back of the arena and caught Fury, then there's always a possibility that Chisora can do the same thing. Now, being that tall, is there a possibility that Tyson Fury could be blinded to that overhand right punch because it's out of his vision? Because he's so tall, it's out of his vision, so he doesn't see it. I don't know. I can't tell you that, and I don't know. But is that a possibility? Strengths, obviously, Tyson knows he's beaten him before. But is that a strength or is that a weakness? Because if it's a strength, you look at the fight and say, I beat him before. So I'll go in and beat him again. But it's not like it's an immediate rematch. This is years down the line. And Dereck Chisora since then has been beaten. He's come back, he's become European champion. He's got some good wins. And now he's fighting somebody who in his mind, and if you look at the way Chisora's career has been, is tailor made for somebody like Chisora, for Fury. And Chisora now is doing things that he didn't do beforehand. He's closing the range down. He's working the body more, okay, and he's working the body more against guys not as tall. Okay, so now put that together. Now Chisora is able to close the ring down, close fighters down, and work the body more. The biggest problem with Chisora when he fought Klitschko is because he lacked experience, you know. So this makes it a very interesting fight. And the other key thing here in this fight that a lot of people are overlooking is his inactivity of Tyson Fury. We're saying, it's okay, we've got it under wraps, and he's been doing a lot of sparring in the gym. Sparring in the gym and a big fight preparation, it's not, you could do all the training in the gym you want, but everyone knows come fight night, is Tyson going to be sharp? Is he going to be sharp enough after having all that inactivity? And the last fight he had was against Joey Abel again, and he wasn't even in great shape for that fight. So Tyson has to be in extremely good shape, physically, mentally, and emotionally going into this fight. And everyone believes that this fight's a home banker for Tyson Fury. I like Tyson, but I don't think it's a home banker fight at all. I don't think it's a home banker fight at all. And I remember watching the Fury fight with Chisora the first time around, and I kept saying to myself, at the end of the fight, the first thought was Chisora wasn't in shape, and if he was in shape, he would have beaten Tyson Fury. That was the first thought I had in my mind when I first saw that fight back. That was a long time ago. And I thought because he wasn't in shape, Fury couldn't knock him out. And there were times in the round 2 and round 10 where he hurt Fury. So it's not a case he can't hurt Fury. But I've got more of an experienced fighter now. So if he gets Fury in those positions this time around, will he be able to finish him off with a better array, a variety of punching to the body and to the head, and able to close the fight down? Fury was able to do well against Cunningham, but Cunningham was a cruiserweight, so he was able to back Cunningham up. Will he be able to do that against a genuine heavyweight? Don't know. Will Chisora come in too light against Fury? Will that play a part as well? And the injury. Will the injury have anything to do with Chisora psychologically? Will Chisora still be throwing those punches with full force? Will he be pulling? Because when you injure your hand in boxing, and you throw a punch, and sometimes you can injure the hand. If you injure the hand, you think to yourself, well, in training, you hit the bag, but you don't fall through because you don't want to injure the hand. So is there anything psychologically going into this fight that Chisora may pull his punches? Don't know. There's a lot on the line. This will be Tyson Fury's biggest fight outside the British title fight back then. So the question is the inactivity plus what sort of sparring is he getting? Is the inactivity going to hurt Tyson Fury or is it going to help Tyson Fury? The inactivity could help because people don't know how much Tyson's improved as a fighter. But then also you don't know if he actually has improved as a fighter until we see him fight again. The only thing we can go on is the fact that he wasn't in great shape coming into the Joey Abel fight, which is understandable because of what happened with David Haye. So, and how do you know, as much he's training as hard as he's training, whether he can still push himself mentally because of all those pullouts and the fact that he thinks that the fight's going to actually happen this time round. So there's lots of things. These are all my thoughts. But this could be a lot tougher fight than people expect, and there could possibly be an upset on the cards as well. Will that inactivity be a problem? That's the question. And should Chisora win, will people say, oh, well, Tyson hadn't had much activity? And if Fury wins, well, then will people say, well, David Haye knocked him out anyway, so what are you proving? What will people say? Let me know how you think this fight's going to end up, and whether any of those factors I mentioned come into play. These are my thoughts for Chisora Fury 2. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, leave your comments, and share this video. Let's get people talking about it. I'm out.